Hi, Steve here. And I've been keeping much better track of the world energetics since 2020 when my guides asked me to open up a world healing field. And so, how I pictured this was I was to open up a healing field like I would do with individuals, where I would call in various beings to hold a space for those individuals that I was working with. So I would do this whether I was working with the individual with my hands on their ankles or I was working with the individual over the phone across the country. I would set up a field that would, be a field surrounding the individual I was working with, and then we would do work within the energies within that field, and then around the world healing field would be a field of protection, or around the individual's healing field would be a field of protection. And at a certain point, I'm going to say it was in 2018, to the best of my recall, I began being asked to invite all souls affected by the event that the client and I had gone back to, to release and integrate the energies of the event for themselves. So how I looked at this is it became a community or a collective healing. So the individual that contacted me for the healing work, that was their work. And then as my guidance system, the beings that talk inside my head, asked me to invite other souls back to the event, I made sure initially that the client that I was working with was not working with the energetics of all the souls that were back at these events. And at first it seemed like, a number of souls, that it seemed like hundreds of souls, that it seemed like hundreds of thousands of souls. And, I had been to a football game at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, where I lived for many years. And I'd gone to a football game there, and there were over 100,000 people in the stadium. And I was, conscious of energy and healing and using energy. And so I didn't pay much attention to the football game that was taking place. I know they were playing Wisconsin because the people visiting from the communal living facility they were living on in Indiana had gone to school at Wisconsin, so they wanted to see the game between Wisconsin and Michigan. So I ended up being able to get tickets to go to the game, and 100,000 people with a lot of energy. So I just worked that, and I was thinking like, well, I could set intentions for the world peace or whatever, and I could use all this energy to fuel my intention for world peace, and that's world healing, whatever it was. Peace is healing, and love is healing, and kindness is healing, and compassion is healing, and as far as I can tell, everything's healing. And you are healing, and I am healing. And so we have a healing field set up for today for this video. And so you might want to go through and say these words. I ground myself to the healing. I've shifted it a bit. So I connect to my deep self. And notice if you notice something when you do that. I connect to my higher self. I connect to my highest self. I ground myself to the healing center of the earth. I open myself to the healing power of the One. And I release anything no longer useful to me. And if you choose to work with the seventh dimensional beings that assist in healing through change, the Hathors, you can say, I choose to work with the Hathors. They'll be happy to work with you because it's their purpose is to assist in the healing of those on the planet. And I ask the higher self to take us through the portal of time to the event that would be of the highest good, to release and integrate at this time. And you might just notice how that event feels for you, what you're able to feel of that event. Know that if you're participating, and I've stated the words, I ask the higher self to take us through the portal of time, then the higher self will invite you on a soul level to travel with it to this event, and then you may have some experiences from being at the event. You may feel things happening. You may notice places relaxing in your body. You may notice a feeling of letting go of some energies that you were holding on to. All sorts of things can happen while your soul is at an event, while you're watching a video about a healing process. So it was in 2018 when my guides began to ask me to invite other souls back. So that's when this part came in. I invite all the souls that were affected by this event to return to the event, to release and integrate the energy of the event for themselves. And I ask that we all be placed in a field of protection while we do this work. So I've kept that bubble of souls that are releasing and integrating the energy of the event for themselves somewhat separate from the individual. So as you go back, you'll be going back as an individual in a field of protection, as an individual soul going back to an event. And that's so that you can really concentrate on the event's effect on you, but the fact that there's other souls who have returned to the event, releasing and integrating the event for themselves, that can't help but assist you in your letting go process. So that's how it works. Healing in community is just powerful. It's just much more powerful than healing of an individual. But any healing that takes place in community takes place for you or for me as an individual within our community, and whatever that community is. And some people might say, well, I don't have a community. And I'd say, okay, it's all perception. You perceive you have a community, you do. You perceive you don't have a community, you don't, within your perception. But none of us are here by ourselves. You look around, there's others around, even if they don't live with you. We don't live here by ourselves, but we can live here separate from others. And I think many of us has had various times of feeling more separate from others, less separate from others, more separate from others, less separate from others. So there are times when we get triggered and we go into a really defensive posture and we pull back from others, because while we're triggered and have strong emotions arising, we can find fault with others more so than we do in a normal, kind of a regular period of time where we're not continually noticing faults in others. If we are continuously triggered, we may continuously notice faults in others. It just happens when you're in a triggered state. Things are beginning to happen. So I set up this healing field. This healing field was set up within the world healing field as an individual energy to work with today. So we only have 2 months left, less than 2 months, because the completion of this 28-year cleansing process is March 24th of 2025. That's 2 months away, because it's the 25th. Yeah, so we've got 2 more months to just keep clearing these energetics. And it's the frequency of the world has just been going up, up, up since March 23rd of 1997, when the being Abrahamanad came in as the soul of the earth. In Abrahamanad, I had a telepathic communication because he was coming in as the soul of the earth. So he didn't come in a body. He came in as a being that was going to have the earth as its body, and it was going to work with the energetics of the earth to help in this transition process that we're all going through. Transition of frequencies. So the transition of frequencies is a rise in frequency. And continuously, every day, these frequencies are going up. There doesn't seem to be any going down. They just go up from my perception. And sometimes they're easier to work with than others. And really, healing is about change, and it's about letting go. So I've been having some powerful experiences of healing, of change, and of letting go. And it's almost like I'm feeling that the vibration is pushing me to let go. And I can actually feel my resistance to letting go. And when I'm resisting the frequency, I'm very uncomfortable. And when finally I just go, okay, and I just let the energy go, I typically feel more comfortable because I'm just letting energy move. And sometimes I'll feel it come up, and it'll be in different locations, but right now it's right in here, and I'll feel this pressure here. So I'll just be aware of it, because I'm doing a 5-month training with Thomas Hubel, and he's giving really good instructions in how to work with these energies. And I've been working with them my whole life. So we've all been working with these energies, but some of us have been more interested in the energies and more interested in learning how to work with them. So I've been really interested in learning how to work with them through others for 55 years. and I'm interested in getting better at it because it seems harder right now. And it's always been challenging, and there's been a number of dark nights of the soul and things like that that I've had to go through and let go of a whole bunch of stuff, which I've done. But these are almost like constant. It's almost there was a game in the video game center in Ann Arbor. Can't remember the name of it, but my children would want to go there sometimes, and I would take them to play video games, dance videos where you had to dance around and hit these colored lights. And there was other, video games, car racing, and all that kind of stuff. And there was one game, I think it was maybe called Croc or something, but it had to do with crocodiles popping up, and you had a hammer and you bopped them on the head and they'd go down, but another one would pop up. And I don't know, I think it was Crocs, but it might have been something else. But anyway, it'd pop up and you'd hit that one in the head and it would go down. And it kind of feels like, besides not really wanting to hit these things on the head, but it has felt like there's very little interim between things coming up and then another thing coming up and then another thing coming up. And I mentioned that I was feeling overwhelmed. I had a tooth break off, and I found I needed, when I went and got x-rayed, I found out I was going to need kind of more dental work. And I've had, I've had good luck with dentists because I have possibly inherited my mother's teeth. My father never had a cavity in his lifetime. My mother had continual problems with her teeth. And so I'm not saying it's just all genetic, but there's some possibility, some aspect of it is genetic. But anyway, I found out there's a number of things I need to do with my teeth, and it got me really kind of stressed out who I wanted to work with. A more, what they're called, biological dentists, where they're really looking at the compatibility of your body with the things that they're putting into it. And a biological dentist is one that just doesn't use mercury as a filling for a tooth, because they believe, like I do, that mercury is a bad thing to put into the body, whether it be in vaccines or it be in tooth fillings. It's just like you don't want mercury in your body. It can cause some problems. It's been seen to cause problems, and it's continued to be put in, both through vaccines and through cavities and however else, tuna fish, whatever else has mercury in it. Okay. So, when it comes to feeling uncomfortable, my tendency in the past, and maybe your tendency in the past, has to been seek out things that would make us feel more comfortable. So maybe if the timing was right, it might be a beer. Oh, it's a hot day, I'm going to have a beer, and I'm going to alter my brain function. Or it could have been other things. It could have been, I just am too tired to do anything. I think I'll have coffee and then not feel too tired. Well, where did that too tired go to? Well, it was chemically changed. And a lot of people are chemically changing a lot of things. And I have stopped changing things to some degree on a chemical level. I basically have had a kind of a consistent use of coffee over the past, 6 months. But I've kind of cut that down now because of kind of some things that are going on with my body on a physical level, especially like itching and some reddening related to kind of some of the intensity of emotions that I'm releasing. So as I have been releasing and helping clients to release this really deep old anger, as that comes out, then I've noticed a redness. And one of the areas related to anger from my system in terms of the body and where things are stored, anger is stored in the ankles and feet and the wrists and the hands. And it's stored around the solar plexus, and it's stored in the lower abdomen and the coccyx and the pubic bone and the lower part of the neck and this area at the top of the forehead. Those are the kind of anger areas from the work I did as a chiropractor. And yeah. And as I started helping some of these clients release this anger, I started, and I was releasing the anger with them. I was helping to ground that disturbed anger and releasing. When I'm helping release the anger in the field of relationship for a client, I'm oftentimes like, oh, I need to let that go too. So I'm releasing and grounding the energy of both the client and myself. And if it's a healing field, I'm helping to release and integrate the energy of the group of souls that's back there as well. And it's just something that you learn to do over time. I say it was challenging at first, but then it became less challenging. And then when they had me open up the world field, it was really challenging. And then over time, it became less challenging. And over the last few months, it's become more challenging. And that's just because the intensity of this process is heating up for everyone. And in some ways, I'm helping everyone through the world healing field. And I've had to bring it down, make the world healing field appear smaller so I didn't feel so overwhelmed by it. And I've also needed to make myself feel bigger so I feel like I have the space to deal with the intensity that's happening in the world currently. I'm just going to look at the time, and it looks like there's 22 minutes of this, so I think I'm going to just do the clearing part of the healing field and then close this video down. So I ask the higher self to assist all the souls that return to the event to help them combine with that part of their soul that had remained at the event and bring that combined soul back into their body in present time with all of its wisdom, power, clarity, compassion, creativity, and kindness, and peace. And I ask them to ground themselves in the healing center of the earth and open up the portal for the delivery of the new energies into the earth at this time. And I ask that these new energies be brought in and that the new energies be activated. And I let the universe and beyond know that this has been done and that it's good. Okay, bit of a ramble, kind of catch you up or introduce you to whatever, but a bit of a ramble for this healing session today. And at one time I had a Rambler vehicle that was dark green on the top, I think, and light green on the bottom. It might have been the opposite, but anyway, we called it the Avocado Auto, and it was a 1959 Rambler American, and it drove like a waterbed. It's like a suspension system. You'd go around a corner and the whole car would just lean over, and then it would come back. It was a really pleasant experience. Okay, that's it for this video, and I may do other things today, but right now, must go change.